Hello, so today I'm going to be talking to you all about how I put together this new nature aquarium aquascape that is to my left. It's currently home to a group of about 16 rathbuni tetra and has a combination of live plants and botanicals and some really sort of impactful hardscape in my opinion. So I've been doing this over the last few months and I've taken footage all along the way. I'm going to bring it all together and show you the full process in hopefully a much shorter time frame than what it took me to build. So yeah, and then I'm going to come back at the end and we're going to chat about how it's gone. So the first job is to add some nutrients for the plants that are going to go in, and these are mostly going to be in the back left and back right corners. So this is where I'm going to focus most of the plant substrate. The rest is going to be just the aesthetic sands, and I will root tab where I need to. For the hardscape, I've chosen to use red lava rock. That's because, one, it's inert, so it's not going to change the water parameters of this black water environment. It's going to complement the tint and the botanicals really nicely and act as that sort of transition. And then it's also going to contrast really nicely with the green planting that I've chosen. On top of this, I've added some aged mangrove wood because it gives that instant mature look to it. That's really good for these underwater environments. It's not meant to be pristine. That's the hardscape complete. I'm really happy with that. There's a few detailing stones to add in a second, but first, what I'm going to do now is lock this hardscape in place using the classic cotton wool and super glue technique, which I'm not going to go into, but you'll see it here time-lapsed. Then detailing stuff, I've just got some smaller bits of lava rock of varying sizes all the way down to almost a gravel, and this will just transition into that aesthetic sand a little nicer than that abrupt end that I had before. Once the sand got wet, it went to a slightly more yellowish, warm colour than when it was really dry, which is better because it was a bit too white with the red stone originally, and that's slightly better. Now with some tint in as well, it really has that warm glow. So I just want to break up this video slightly and just explain a few things. So one, I meant to plant this tank a while ago. I've had a few issues with a tank cracking and flooding the whole place. Now, that is somewhat sorted now, and I will do a video explaining what happened, which I might actually release before this one, so you may have already seen that. But yeah, I ordered all the plants for this scape, and then that happened, and it sort of delayed everything. So yeah, I'm not sure how the film is going to come together. I'm also going to have to wear a blue glove on my hand because the smashed glass cut my finger, and I don't want to get infected from going in the water. But in effect, this water's been sat in here stagnant for too long. It's started to grow a bit of algae on the sides, so I'm just going to give it a good scrub, drain all this water out, ready to plant the tank up, and then I'll fill it up again. Obviously you can see it's got a nice tint to the water. I didn't really want it to be tinted just yet because I want to give the plants as much light as possible to start growing before I add the botanicals in and get that tinted water going. So yeah, that's what I'm about to do. Wasn't how I intended, and yeah, I just wanted to explain that so you could see why there was such a difference. And you might, in the corners, occasionally see that there's no tank down here anymore. So yeah, that's what's going on. Enough of me talking, let's get back to the tank build. Quick maintenance session to scrub off any biofilms and algae that's developed, and then remove all this water because it's going to be no good for the plants and it's going to be easier to plant without it anyway. Now it's time to repair the plants. I've got a mixture of pots and in vitros, some larger Echinodoruses, Aphyocharax, and then later on I've also got some pots of Myaka and dwarf sag to complement those. So yeah, won't go into detail on this because you've seen all this before. Let's get planting. Off camera, I added a couple large seed pods that I picked up from Live Aquatic Food online. I just want to get them in and ensure I had space for them rather than taking up all the room with planting. With the addition of the plants, including the large leaves of the Echinodoros, this tank is really starting to look a little bit more jungly and more natural. So I'm really enjoying that. It's time to fill up now after I've added in the equipment. So yeah, now's the moment of truth. The plan will be that this tank is connected up to the main sump system that has black water flowing through these rack tanks. But for now I'm going to use this fluval internal just to keep it separate while it's settling in. So a week later, my root tabs finally arrived, so I've added them in around those heavy root feeders. And now it's time to remove this limno filler that I did add actually off camera as well. I used it just as a very fast growing, already established stem plant, just to prevent a bit of algae growth while the plant's adapted. But I can see the Myaka was starting to grow, so I'm just going to whip this out as well. I'm going to leave some floating plants in here for now though, just to compete with them. I've never actually used these Monet leaves before, but they have a really interesting texture and shape to them, something that I've not seen before. They also are the perfect size for this tank, and coming from South America, which is this themed aquarium, this sort of South American biotope, they'll work perfectly in here, and I'm really excited to see how they will sort of break down and develop over time. That gorgeous tinted water is back, and I've also had really good growth in the stem plants. Just goes to show that those in vitro pots are really worth the money. You get so much plant and they adapt so quickly. Now it's time to just give them all a trim back and get the planting a bit bushier, more dense in the corners. It's just going to help the fish feel more at home when they do arrive. And talking of fish, I popped into a shop that I don't normally visit, and they had this stunning group of really mature rathbun's tetra, so I had to take them home with me. I took every fish that they had left in the store tank, and I got them acclimatizing for the new tank. So just quickly going to add these guys in and leave them to settle. So they're going to be quite stressed at first, but they're such a good size and clearly have been in the shop a long time. I'm really hoping they're going to be quite used to captivity. They're probably captive bred, to be honest, but they should be quite used to quite a lot of disturbances from the shop and settle in really quickly into this tank. So obviously they were showing quite stressed and washed out behaviour and colours, but that soon changed when I left them alone for a few hours and came back in, and there they were showing at the front with the greens and the red hues really starting to develop in the fish now. Unfortunately, a few weeks after I added the fish, I did start to see some die-off in the Aphyocharax. Not sure whether this is just the old leaves that were obviously grown above water that's eventually died off, but it has been a few months since I set this tank up, and I'm only just starting to see this die off, so it's a bit unusual. Some of the patches are still looking nice and vibrant and green, but there's this one really obvious patch of large-scale die-off. So I hope you enjoyed watching that in a much shorter time frame than what it took me over the last few months to put together. But I think all the effort I went to has paid off, because this tank is really becoming one of my favourites in the fish room, and there's still so much more to do with it. I reckon once the plants grow in a bit, the green is going to be really impactful, but it might dominate the botanicals a little bit too much. So I'm now contemplating maybe adding a few more in. So let me know if you think I should, and what sort of botanicals should be added in here with what I've already used. And then secondly, I also want your suggestions for other fish to go in here. So although I've got a really nice group of the rathbun's tetra, there is scope and size and space in this tank for a few more fish. And I'm looking for your ideas of what I should add. I have a few ideas of my own, but I'm not going to let you know them just yet, because I don't want to influence your decisions. So shoot over some ideas, and then if you have picked one that I've already got in my head, I'll let you know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I know I have been very quiet on the channel recently. I have been busy planning my wedding, which is in fact in 6 days' time as of today. So it's been quite busy, and I'm quite surprised that I've managed to get out here and film this now. But hopefully it's been worth it, and you've really enjoyed seeing me put this tank together. And I'll be back creating some more videos for you very soon, because I have a lot to do, including a little project idea that I have in mind. Yeah, I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.